Scott Van Pelt. Welcome to Monday Night Postgame presented by Abbott. The Rams with a 7-point victory on the road. You heard from Stafford and Kupp. We're going to hear from the Cardinals as well. They fall to 3-3 at home. Ryan Clark's been studying the film, and he'll show you those Matthew Stafford throws that he made tonight. They were the reason why the Rams traded for him in the offseason in the first place. Let's do what we do every Monday and get back out to the fellas. This time in Glendale, Louis Riddick, Brian Greasy standing by to break this down. And Brian, I want to start with you as a quarterback, because I always try to remind myself when I'm watching a game, whether it be on my couch at home or sitting here on the set, I have the luxury of not being out there in the arena. So it's really easy for me to watch that very last sequence and think, how in the hell are they not spiking it to take a deep shot? So I give them benefit of the doubt, but you said it on the broadcast. Isn't that something that as a team they should have been prepared to try to pull off?
Correct, 100%. I don't know what to tell you, Scott. Like, that's something every quarterback knows and every offense knows, every head coach. And it's just something that when you get in the heat of the moment and things start to happen fast, and you don't practice those things, you're not practicing situational football that you can overlook. And it only takes a split second to miss something like that. But that was not the reason they lost the game, Scott. There were a number of things that happened in the fourth quarter, from Cliff Kingsbury going for it there, like 5.5 minutes left in the game on 4th and 1, rather than kicking a 55-yarder that Matt Prater's already made, 2 53-yarders. Then that last sequence would have been completely different because they only would have been down 7. So there was a lot going on there in that fourth quarter that Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are going to learn from.
Yeah, and you're also not practicing against 99 when you're practicing those sequences during the week. Lewis, this Rams team, look, they've had some games that they put on tape that you go, I don't know what this is I'm looking at. Maybe the Tennessee game at home. But when they go on the road against a team that really handed it to them earlier this year and they win the way they did, what does it sort of say to the rest of the NFC about what they figure to be the rest of the way?
Well, I think what it says to the rest of the NFC and what it says to the Rams themselves is sometimes you have to experience adversity to have long-term prosperity, Scott. And they have experienced adversity of untold proportions before this game, just hours before this game. They're losing players left and right. Sean's trying to figure out, what do I do with my roster? Who am I bringing up? How are we going to win this game? How do I manage my packages on offense? And you know what they do? They come out and they turn it over to the best players on their team. And that's what the message that they sent to their roster and to the rest of the league is that the best players have to play their very best in crucial moments. And 99 is one of the very best. Von Miller is one of the very best. And these guys controlled the game on the defensive side every chance they got. And then in the secondary, they have young players now who came on and wound up making plays for them in situations that maybe they would never even be put in, but that's going to pay off for them down the road. And then on the offensive side, Matthew Stafford and this offense has now found its groove. Ever since they experienced that beatdown in San Francisco, they've kind of changed the philosophy and really their formula as far as how they want to attack offensively. Run the football, pound the football, utilize play-action pass. Let Matthew deal when it's time for him to deal, and as you saw tonight, he made some absolutely spectacular throws that maybe only a handful of people in the history of the NFL could make. So I think right now they have found their footing. They'll get all these players back, and now they can go on a run here, and let's just see what happens.
I'm going to talk to Ryan Clark here in a bit about the NFC. And look, at the top, you got Brady and you got Rodgers, and we've seen him do it, right? And these two quarterbacks tonight, we haven't in the postseason. But I feel like you saw tonight from Stafford the really intoxicating talent that a lot of people around the league thought was there, Brian. Again, I always go back to the fact that you did it. But this guy made some throws that I have to think from your vantage point blew your mind. What did you see?
Well, he was going against some loaded zones tonight, like 2 deep, man under, and that's the most difficult coverage to throw the ball against because you got 2 safeties and then everybody's playing underneath all your receivers. And when he was getting pressure in the pocket and throwing against that loaded zone and those 2 deep man under looks, that's as hard as it gets. And he made some unbelievable throws to Kupp, to Odell Beckham, 3rd down. Cooper Kupp had a phenomenal game, but Matthew Stafford showed you tonight that if you support him with a little bit of running game, and if you take the pressure off of him from time to time and off of the offensive line from time to time and don't make it a drop-back game, and allow him to throw the ball deep when it's warranted and read through the coverages and tick through his progressions, he's as good as there is in the NFL. And yes, he has not won a playoff game. And yes, both of these quarterbacks, when they do, or if they do get into the playoffs and they face Brady and they face Rodgers, they're going to be underdogs until they can prove that they can beat those two guys. But certainly tonight, I think you saw that Matthew Stafford can certainly be in that position to compete against those two.
Yeah, the ceiling's pretty tall for certain. Look forward to talking next week, gentlemen. Christmas week in the city of Chicago. Travel well, and I look forward to the visit then, all right?
Thank you, Scott.
Louis Riddick, Brian Greasy. We enjoy our visits with them every week. Time to do your research on the finale from this week in the NFL. Cards fall to 10-3. All 3 losses at home. The 3-game losing streak at home, their longest under Cliff Kingsbury. On the victorious side, Matthew Stafford gets his first career win against an opponent that was 5 or more games over 500. 0-17 in those instances, by far the worst of any quarterback since 1970. It's context. Think about who he played for prior to this season. It also means both the AFC and NFC have a 3-way tie for the best record atop the conference. Very first time since conferences were formed in 1970 that both conferences have a 3-way tie for the best record through Week 14 in the league. Now you see the race for the 1 seed, the 3 tied atop the NFC. It's the Buccaneers that not only own the easiest remaining schedule of the bunch, they own the easiest remaining schedule in the entire NFL. As a result, nearly a toss-up between Tampa and Green Bay for the conference's only bye, according to ESPN's FBI. Play more coverage